All right, so let's go ahead and work on creating the extra shapes like these across here. One thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that my pitch here, this is much greater of a pitch than mine. And this is just part of the process if you're just sort of learning to play around as you start to tweak these shapes as you go. If you are working in a production environment, everything would be measured exactly. And I think a lot of first time learners who are doing this, they get super bored fast if they have to measure out the exact length here and measure it out here. And I really just want you to have fun modeling. So anyway, I'm going to pull that pitch up a little bit, and then let's go ahead and create these cross beams. And you always want to just do everything in Graybox mode and simplify the shape. So you can see that these cross beams are in front of these, and they're about the same length. So I'm just going to draw out a cross beam that's roughly this wide and this tall. And I'll hit R to just kind of scale that in just a little bit. Then I'm going to hit Control. Well, let's move it up here just a little bit and just position it where we think it's going to go. And I'm going to hit E to rotate it. And let's do it this way. And maybe I was wrong about the thickness of the roof. So let's just position this guy here. I'm going to hit Control D again. Hit E to rotate this. Now notice that I'm in global mode here. And the reason for that is so when I hit W, I can select both and move them globally. If you're still in local mode, you'll have this axis that we're using before when we were scaling. So let's kind of pull these back a little bit like that. And then we need one more that goes up and down. So just select any one of them, hit Control D. And then let's zero out these rotations. And then on the Z axis, let's go 90 degrees. And let's just position it here. And I'm going to hit R and scale that in a little bit and then hit W to shift that in. And let's hit F to focus because sometimes it gets super slow with moving and panning and you have to hit F to focus. All right, so let's go ahead and just select all three of these. And we go to vertex mode here and then just start shifting these down. So something like this. And I'm going to pull this guy like that. Just trying to keep both of these. And I get that this can be really frustrating and it could look weird. And like I said, I'm grading you more on completion than if you are like that it's perfect. But if this interests you as a career, then like doing something like this, then the next building you make will focus on making perfect, like let's kind of straighten these out too. Something like this. I'm just kind of lining it up with the edge here. And same thing here. And then what I want to do is get this roof. So I'm going to select these faces here. Really want to pull that forward a pretty good amount. And just kind of pull that out. So it's covering it. And there's our overhang. Now, these look a little weird because that cross piece really should be in the middle, but you can see that this is even off center. So let's kind of tweak these a little bit so that it looks a little more centered. And what I'm going to do is just click on 2D mode. So I'm looking at this flat. Let's go. There we go. That's a lot better. Then let's click off of 2D mode. All right, let's go ahead and select all of these. And for now, we're going to join it together. We're actually going to separate all these objects out later. For example, like there's this tool where you can double click the whole thing and then you can do, let's see. Is it detach faces? Let's see if that detaches all the faces. Or does it make them separate objects? That's okay. We'll figure out a way to separate them. Because what we want to do is eventually paint this thing. Okay, so we've got our front here. Looks like we're missing 2 extra beams that sit. Let's see if that's in our reference. Yeah, there's like a big beam here. There's also another one that does the ridge. We don't need to get that crazy right now. we're just having fun making basic shapes. Here, let's delete that for a second. And you always want to make the shape a little bit outside of it, because the thing is, what's really nice is you can actually just draw right on the surface. See that? So I'm going to go new shape, and I'm just going to try to do something like this. And then just move that in and move it up here. Hit R to thin that out. Hit Control D to duplicate that, and then just move that over like this. So we've got our two. And trust me, like I said, I know it takes some getting used to and thinking in 3D. So I just went ahead and merged objects. So if you're struggling with this a little bit, you're supposed to, if that makes any kind of sense. All right, let's just look at this back. We've got these guys going on, same sort of setup, and then we've got a deck. So we'll knock that out really quick. So same as before, new shape. And I'm going to make it the entire length of the house, so like this. And bring that up. And what is this shape here off to the side? How did that happen? I'm going to hit escape. It's like this big shape. I don't know where that came from. It's weird. Okay, I'm going to hit F to focus on this. And even getting used to the rotation and stuff, so I understand it can get a bit annoying. All right, so we'll just put this here. Create the posts. It looks like these posts go all the way through. And that means this roof needs to go even further back. Like that. And that means this guy needs to go lower, like this. And then it looks like there's 4 posts. So let's go back to object mode, hit Control D, like this. Oh, there's 5 posts. There's one that goes down the center. See if we switch that to local, if I could just scale them down. You know what? Let me do that again, but I'm going to make this one a lot thinner, because I think I made it too thick. And I'm going to kind of ad-lib this one a little bit to, just because I want to see more of the building. That. And then I'm going to select this. And I'm just looking for ways that I can, like, they just have a beam that goes around this way. Well, if I duplicate this, right, this whole beam here, and kind of move it out like that, and I grab these verts, I can make my life easier. And just, again, this is called modular modeling. So I'm just looking for ways within the scene itself to kind of, you know, like within, like objects within the scene itself to play with. So this can go a little bit lower because it needs to get that railing. And now let's go ahead and just combine all of those. Just merging objects. And let's test it. It's always good to just sort of play one every once in a while. And we'll even download maybe a first person camera. And if we're in class together, yeah, so that looks, I mean, it looks pretty small in comparison to this guy. So we can always tweak the scale of all this stuff. Again, for now, we're just grayboxing, just getting a rough shape going. Yeah, we might have to make it a bit bigger. Let's get these last few pieces in. And then what we'll do is I'll end the lesson for this week here. I mean, we're going to do more theory during class, but the modeling I know is really hard, and I get that. So I'm giving you a fair amount of time because you're really just getting used to modeling everything, right? Getting used to the movement of 3D and the shape and all that. So, and I get it, and I don't want you to get too stressed out. Let's go with a different trick here for this center. We're just going to move this in and position it here. And then what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and hit 2D mode. I don't think I can go to the back. I'm just going to let it be center itself. So I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to insert an edge loop here. And then I'm going to move this in like that. And then go to vertex mode and select both of these edges and pull them up. So just a different trick to get that. And center this a little bit better here. And all of these need to be kind of leveled out. Now the last thing, because I don't want to bore you too much, is I want you to think about how you're going to make this. So I'll show you how I would do it. This being this little enclosed fence area, is it requires a thin little box like that. I'm going to hold Control D, duplicate that. And then one more thin box. I'll make it out here and just position it. So I think we need to get this a little higher. And then let's take Control D to duplicate this. And then let's select all of these pieces and merge them, just these four. And then I'm going to kind of position that. And we could always grab these, just kind of shift them in so that we know that they're intersecting like this. And then Control D, rotate on Y 90 degrees. I'm going to hit R, scale that in, make it a little thinner. What I could do is just kind of grab these, move them all the way across like that, just to save time. Grab this guy, Control D, and just position them over here. This whole fence thing is off. Again, like I said, we're always going to be tweaking this a little bit. Especially it's hard because we're playing in 3D and we're getting our minds sort of used to thinking in 3D and seeing in 3D. I'm going to hit Shift and Space Bar. And that lets me zoom in here. Let's make another little banister here. Again, yours doesn't have to be perfect. You might have to delete and redo. So I get that. So and these don't even look even. So feel free to do the same thing. Maybe add 3 here. I'm hitting Control D to duplicate, add 2 here, depending on the scale. Maybe this is a 2er. And then you could just kind of select a big selection on all of this, including the house, and just merge objects. Oops, not mirror, merge. All right, that's it for this week. You got your hands full just sort of creating all these basic shapes. Next week, we'll start looking at making doors and windows and all that stuff and further modeling techniques.